You know what's interesting about stupid Trump voters, right? And I know people are going to be triggered on the onset by me starting it like that. But what's interesting about stupid Trump voters is there's actually less Trump voters than those of the people in America that are newly classifying for unemployment. So, this is a new stat here that came out a couple days ago. The government said another 840,000 Americans filed for unemployment last week. That brings the total of new unemployment claims to 63.6 million since mid-March. That is more people than Trump got to vote for him, than Trump conned into voting for him in 2016. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that really interesting? And that's what we need to remind ourselves at the end of the day. No, half of the country did not vote for Donald Trump. No, half of the country are not deplorables. No, half of the country are not racists. In reality, it's more like 15 to 20% of the country. It just turns out that the way our electoral system works, the way everything functions, that 15 to 20% somehow controls 90% of our elections. Really makes you think, huh? But this is one thing that I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to use this as a springboard to talk about the fact that Trump has been destroying this country. Trump has destroyed this country since the day he was inaugurated. As soon as he started appointing people like Steve Mnuchin to Secretary of Treasury, Ben Carson to Housing and Urban Development, right? Betsy DeVos to being Secretary of Education, right? Ever since that kind of stuff started, Trump has been systematically destroying this fucking country. Rick Perry, as head of the EPA, Rick Perry famously campaigned in 2012 to abolish the EPA. Well, instead of abolishing the EPA, which is much harder, let's just have someone who doesn't like the EPA to be in charge of the EPA. Facts and logic, right? Trump has destroyed this fucking country. And what's important to understand, right, is that this country was not great. It was never great, right? Hillary Clinton's "America's already great" in 2016 slogan, which, by the way, Trump seems to have stolen by saying "Keep America great," right? That's bizarre. Trump has never, or rather, America has never been great. It's always been shit. So what happens when you have shit that's dangling on stilts, and then Donald Trump comes in and kicks the stilts in, and now the stilts fall and the shit spreads all over the fucking sheets? That's what happens. The shit is smearing into the sheets. And we're not talking about regular sheets here. We're talking about like the most expensive sheets you can fucking imagine. We're talking about some like imported fucking like sheets, okay? I'm not much of a sheet person, so this analogy is kind of running out of steam here. But we're talking about some very expensive sheets. And so as a result, and I'm not talking about the gas station in the northeast of the country. I'm not talking about sheets where you go and get yourself a bagel and you fucking fill up your tank. I'm not talking about that sheets, okay? Just to be clear. But what I'm talking about is the idea that Trump voters are not some monolith. There is not some big silent majority. And in reality, people are suffering. This country is falling apart. Now, if Trump and Trump's goal and Trump's cult, right, was to just say, yes, the country is falling apart, and yes, I should have acted sooner. But you know what? I've learned from my mistake. I've been at the helm. I've got coronavirus. I know what I'm doing. Elect me, and I got this. If Trump were to pivot to that, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, still probably not, but maybe he would have a chance. But they're not even doing it. You see so many people say that coronavirus is a hoax. You see so many people say, oh, your children are starving? I guess they just have bad parents. You're seeing so many people say, what, you're homeless? Just get a job, right? When unemployment claims are at a near all-time high, right? 60% of renters cannot pay their rent, right? And an eviction moratorium that we have is going to expire in December. And if Trump loses, he's not going to renew that. And if Trump wins, he's not going to renew that. He's extorting us. We're being fucking extorted by this fucking con man. And you have a bunch of dullards, absolute fucking idiots, I should say. Not just dullards, but fucking morons that are simping for a president that doesn't give a fuck about them. This country is an empire, not in decline, but in collapse, right? Like, it's ridiculous to me that we can have 60 million people that are jobless in this country that need a helping hand, right? More people than what voted for Donald Trump in the 2016 election. People were thinking, what could possibly go wrong? Oh, I don't know. Maybe a pandemic? could possibly go wrong? Not a pandemic in 2017 when the pandemic response team was still there and still operating. No, 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 no. But a pandemic in 2020 when Trump has successfully eradicated all of our institutional safeguards and just left people to dry. Because this country, again, not an empire in decline, an empire in collapse. And these numbers can only just prove that further and further. But again, what you need to understand here is that Trump voters, they're a small, very, very, very loud, but also a very small, very failing group of people that maybe got lucky with this one, but they won't get lucky again, I guarantee you, right? Any future seizing of power, I think, by the fascist contingent of Americans is going to be with force and not any sort of even remotely democratic means, right? And again, Electoral College, I say Donald Trump is the so-called president. He lost the vote. He got less votes than Hillary Clinton, right? So that's weird. Certainly very interesting. So you can say that this wasn't even a remotely democratic election process, right? And I would agree with that. But at this point, I think the American people know fascism, it's not good, especially when you've got clown fascism. It's a waste of our time and we're all going to get killed in the process. Let's just move on from that, right? It's a blip. It's a blemish. Millions and millions of people are dying. Families and friends are being destroyed, right? People can't go to funerals of their parents, right? People can't go visit their mother dying on their fucking deathbed. You can't go in there because of coronavirus restrictions, right? Wearing a mask in a school, not cool. But you can't see your dying mother who's dying of coronavirus because of restrictions. Nice country, America. Good fucking shit. We got this shit on lock. All because a bunch of stupid fucking LARPers in 2016 were like, oh, what if we just had a fascist clown in office? What could possibly go wrong? Oh, I don't know. Probably millions of people dying. Who'd have thunk? Millions. 60 million people, 63 million people not having jobs that had jobs a year ago. Really makes you think. Really makes you think. But again, you're going to see the Trump people that are in the comments section, right? I got one in the live stream right now. James says, the American left have become the fascists. Donald Trump is literally killing people, right? Donald Trump's fucking America has 63.6 million new unemployment claims in this pandemic. And he's claiming that, oh, don't worry about coronavirus. Go outside. Don't let it fear. Don't be afraid of it. Donald Trump is going out telling people to go outside and don't be afraid of coronavirus, right? While this pandemic's going on. And you have people in the fucking comment section saying, yeah, actually, it's the college kids who want to be called by he, him pronouns. Those are the problem with America. They've become the fascists. Again, Donald Trump is a magnet, right? And what magnets do is they attract all other kinds of magnets. So that doesn't mean that the whole world is fascist just because Donald Trump seems to have a few fucking weirdos that think murdering protesters is good and making sure that families can't have money to feed their children is good, right? Like that, just because there's a few weirdos that are clinging to the president, they get magnetically attracted, right, to the president, and they just start screaming and yapping and amplifying each other's voices. That doesn't mean that they're a giant contingent. Yes, they may be annoying. Yes, they may be cringy. Yes, they may spend their entire lives trolling YouTube comment sections of streamers that have 20 viewers, right? Yes, they may troll comment sections of videos that have like 80 views all day, every day because they're losers. They have nothing else to do. Their parents have probably died from coronavirus. Their kids hate them and they have no job, right? So what else are you going to do? Oh, I know. I'm going to go troll a tranny on YouTube. That's what I'm going to do because Trump 2020, US. Jesus Christ, these people are fucking cringe. At least, right? At least we know that they are not that many people. At least we know. And again, 25% of Trump voters voted just for the Supreme Court. 25% of 60 million people didn't even really like Trump. They just wanted that court. Think about that. The Trump team, they're not as popular as people might want you to think. So just throwing that out there.